Awesome. Hi, team. I've got Shorty with me from our department, and she's kindly offered to us a little bit of insight into what it was like coaching a high school rugby team. And you're super lucky because she actually coaches a high school girls rugby team, which should sound familiar to you because it is pretty much exactly the same case as what you have for your assessment. So, thanks, Shorty, for doing that. Can I ask you just to give you a little bit of an explanation of how she got into coaching and sort of what the role has been like?
Okay, so I started rugby coaching specifically when I was in second year doing this bachelor course. I did my work-based co-op at Auckland Girls Grammar, which is my old school. And while I was in that placement, they needed a rugby coach. I was doing a coaching major, so it made sense to find the confidence and to do it. We lost the screen there. Yeah, and that's how I got involved first. So that was in 2001, and I coached them to 2004. Had a break, and then I went back and started coaching them again in 2015 with 3 other Unitech students.
Awesome. Also, no doubt there will be some key characteristics of what it's like actually coaching a high school team. If you can maybe give us a bit of an explanation of what some of these characteristics are of like coaching high school students, and particularly even what it's like coaching girls. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got my notes here. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. Okay, so one of the first characteristics with rugby girls, and because generally they are Pacific Maori, and your case study says Kelston girls, so I would expect that to be mainly Pacific Maori students. Teenage girls are quite nonchalant, so they're very casual in their manner when they do things. Yeah, casual. Leading into that, a second characteristic is they are very chatty. They like talking. And the third characteristic is they love to laugh and have a good time, which is great, but which can be frustrating when you're a coach and you're trying to teach new skills. That leads into focus time, short bursts. It might be 3 to 10 minutes of really good focus, although that also can be said for students as well. And the last thing is that many of the rugby girls I find have multiple commitment. So if they can't make training, generally there's some sort of family thing that they've got to do, or they've got internals, which are assessments that they've got to do at school. So that is definitely one thing. There's multiple commitment.
Have you found, and what have you noticed about their fitness levels and characteristics and their physical capabilities?
Generally, you would say, again, this is all very general, the girls don't like a lot of running. So, as a coach, if you can camouflage that into fun activities, then that's a good way. And generally, they are quite new to the game and they're not conditioned very well. So that's important to take that into consideration when you're designing your activities. But that's some of the stuff I'll lead into the sports science things.
Yeah, so it leads in nicely. So, is the sports science and how important is it for you as a coach, especially a rugby coach? How important is it for you to understand the basics around sports science?
Having that knowledge will help you structure your session plan. So sequencing of activities, making sure that the girls or your players are warmed up and that they stretch. And that can be forgotten sometimes with us coaches. We forget that they need to stretch. So dynamic stretching is always really good because they're still moving while they're doing that. And so that's understanding the physiological needs in your body. The different fitness levels. So I just mentioned before about conditioning. If you've got new athletes to any sport, particularly rugby and the contact component, then it's really important to structure that in so that the body can adapt to those changes because they're not going to be used to that. And you want to avoid injuries and not just go straight into things, into activities where it's full contact and they're smashing each other without safe technique. That leads into another point around recovery. So, not treating every player the same. So you'll have a group, let's say you've got 12 players, 4 might be really fit and they can go and they're conditioned well, but then you've got the majority of the group that aren't because they're new or they haven't played rugby in a long time. So you've got to find that balance and make sure that you don't treat them all the same because they're all different physiologically and also their skill level. Then that also leads into injury. So having an understanding of how your body works in the sports science, particularly around muscles and tendons, understanding that is going to help you identify injuries and how to look after them, particularly when it's contact and just being able to ice, elevation, the RICE concept, although there's some question around that now, but that really helps having those basic knowledge of things.
Awesome. Thanks so much. It's so good for you guys. It's really useful information to help towards their assessment. If you're doing the coach role, pay attention to this, replay it over and over and get the gold out of it. Cool. See ya.